Alright, today we're going to be going over the modulo operator in Python. In the last video, we went over command line arguments, in which we used the shell, which is basically a command line interface, where we had to type in our own commands to run a program. We also saw that we could type in our own command line arguments in the shell, and basically print out a list called argv, which is basically a list of command line arguments. So now we're going to be covering the modulo operator in Python. The modulo operator is actually pretty simple. The modulo operator is basically taking the remainder after dividing two numbers. And it's pretty much that simple. So to review the operators in Python, we first have add, which is represented with a plus sign. So add is plus sign. Subtract is the minus sign. So for multiply, we actually use the asterisk to represent multiplying if you want to multiply two numbers. And then we have divide, which is represented by slash. And then lastly, what we have here is the modulo operator. So basically the modulo operators is basically represented by a percent sign. So the way we format this is I'm going to give a quick example. So I'm going to create a variable n and say, for example, n modulo 2. So basically what is happening here is first is dividing 9 divided by 2. So the number on the left side divided by the number on the right side. And then it's basically taking the remainder after dividing these two numbers. So hopefully we should see that this is 1 because 9 divided by 2 basically has a remainder of 1, as you call in math. So basically that's how it works, is you're doing modulo is basically another step after division. First you're dividing these two numbers, so 9 divided by 2, and then taking the remainder after dividing those two numbers. So now let me print out the result, and hopefully we should see the output as 1 because 9 divided by 2 has a remainder of 1. And it's pretty much that simple. So now let me switch 9 to 10. Hopefully we should see an output of 0. So that's basically what a modulo operator is. It's not that hard to understand. 10 modulo 2 is basically have a remainder of 0. And we can see from here that it actually is it is definitely useful for determining whether a number is even or odd. So let's quickly make a program that determines whether a number is odd or even, and this is pretty quick. So int input, and that's basically a user types in input, and we basically have to check if the number that the user typed is even or odd. So I'm going to do n equals int to make sure that they type in an int. Input, enter your number, and this is how it's going to be outputted to your terminal review. Alright, so next thing we need to do is n modulo 2 equals 0. This is basically same thing as saying if this number is even. So basically when you're dividing a number by 2, and if that remainder is 0, then you can say that the number is even. In this case, n is even. And so basically if n modulo 2 equals 0, which means no remainder after dividing by 2, which is same thing as saying 2 goes into that number evenly, then you can say that the number is even. Otherwise, the only remaining condition that's left is if the number is odd. And we don't need to say elif n modulo 2 equals 1, which means the number is odd, because the only remaining condition we actually have left is if the number is odd. First we have if it is even. That's one condition. The only remaining condition is that a number is odd. And that's why we don't need to say elif. Else basically is the remaining condition that's left after this. So that's basically this program, in which we're dividing or using the modulo operator to determine whether a number is even or odd. So let's test this out with some test cases. So if you type in 8, 8 is an even number, so it should output the number is even. If I type in 9, it should output the number is odd. If I type in an example 19, then the number is odd. Let me type in one more example, so 48. Number should output the number is even. And you could test more of these test cases on your own time. And that's basically how modulo operator works. But there's one more important thing that I want to know out. So when you do, for example, 4 modulo 50, right? The output of this is actually going to be 4. So when you have a number on the left side which is less than the number on the right side, and you're using modulo, the output of this is actually the number on the left side. So in this case, 4 modulo 40 is basically answers the number on the left side, which is in this case 4. So let me actually comment this out so you always see the output. And a tip you can use to comment a bunch of lines of code at once is simply doing control/, on your keyboard, and you can see all these lines are commented out, which means it's not going to run this. So basically, if I run it, it should see that print 4 modulo 40 should have an output of 4. If I change this, for example, 10, then this should output 10. And if I change this, for example, 50, modulo 50, the answer is basically the number on the left side, which is 10. So that's the important thing I want to know, is when you have the number on the left side of this modulo, and that number on the left side is less than the number on the right side, then the result of this is basically the number on the left side. If you, however, had 60 modulo 50, this is kind of like we usually calculate the remainder. We first divide this by this, 60 divided by 50, find the remainder after dividing 60 by 50, and we should hopefully see the output to be 10. So let me run this, and see the output is 10. And that's basically how the modular operator works, in which, to summarize, it basically takes the remainder after dividing two numbers. So in the next video, we're going to be going over substrings.